welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching my first ever YouTube video on how to become an accountant. So without further ado, let's get into this next video. So this video is going to be all about how best to study for your ACCA exam. Currently I'm doing a series, and this series is my journey on becoming an accountant, and within that, doing the exams was a part of that. So this is my 5 tips on how best to study for the ACCA exam. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get started. With ACCA, you have 13 exams, and there are 9 foundation papers, and then there are 4 professional papers. And within those 4 professional papers, there are 2 that are compulsory, and then there are another 2 that are optional, which you choose out of 4.
So the professional papers are Advanced Financial Management, Advanced Performance Management, Advanced Taxation, and Advanced Audit and Assurance. For me personally, I ended up taking Advanced Performance Management and Advanced Taxation purely because those were the topics I was the most interested in, and I done the best at those in my foundation level.
Yeah, without further ado, I'll kind of get into how to study for the exams, and this applies to both the foundation papers, like the fundamental papers, and also it applies to the professional advanced papers too. Number 1, the best way to revise for an exam is to go through a previous exam. So I always say go through past papers. Past papers help you to get a feel of what you're expecting, what kind of questions come up, how do they word the questions, and things like that. So past papers for me are really important. ACCA put out past papers for all the previous years, so you can see what's been questioned in previous years. However, I don't believe that they tell you what sitting it was. So for the March and June sitting, they will combine that together in a past paper for you to study, but you won't know what was actually tested in March and what was actually tested in June. So they've kind of done that. So yeah, past papers are really good. There's so much content out there, whether you study online, whether you self-study, whether you go to actual a school to study on the weekends or during weekdays. It's always good to do questions just so that you can get a feel of what is going to be questioned in your exam. One big tip I would say for past papers is, I guess, in previous levels such as college and university, sometimes we can kind of guess based on past papers, what might come up and what may not come up. But in ACCA, don't do that. Don't do that. That's happened to me. You feel like, oh, something's not come up, so it might come up this year, or oh, this has come up, this hasn't come up in like 10 years, or this hasn't come up in like the last 7 papers I've done, so surely it's not going to come up in my exam. No, ACCA don't do that. Literally, there are people that it might not come up in 7 years, but in your exam it will come up, and then you're like, oh no, I haven't studied for that section. So just don't do that. Literally cover all areas, know your stuff basically. So yeah, past papers is really important. So number 2, I would definitely say, is content and exam technique. So I would definitely say that the latter is more important. So content, of course, know your stuff, for each exam, make sure you know exactly, what you're studying for. Know every single area. Do not skip an area because it doesn't seem important and things. Know it, because ACCA might give you a 20 marker on that specific area that doesn't get tested that often. So know your stuff, definitely have the knowledge, but exam technique is extremely important, and it's more important as you get further on into the qualifications. So it's more about how you apply your answers to the question rather than just knowing it. So yeah, exam technique is super important. So make sure you've got good exam technique, and the way you can gain that is from step 1, from obviously past papers. You can see the kind of exam technique and things like that. So obviously look at model answers as well to see how it was answered. But yeah, content and exam technique. Step number 3. So step number 3 is timing. So with ACCA papers, all exam papers are 3 hours and 15 minutes, and all the papers are 100 marks.
So you have about 2 minutes per mark to answer the paper, and if you manage to get some spare time, then use that to go through your paper.
So the way I used to do it when I was studying is in my actual exams, I would time myself and I would allocate the times to myself for every question. So those 3 hours and 15 minutes, it's all you can literally start answering your paper straight away. So it's not like you have 15 minutes reading time. That used to be the case, but now it's as soon as the clock starts, you can start writing your answer. So what I usually do is I look at the questions, so not the sub questions but the questions. You know, maybe question 1 is a 50 marker, so I know that I have about 100 minutes and double the marks to answer that. So I always write down right at the top, you know, what time I'm supposed to finish. That way I can keep track as I'm writing my paper. I can keep track of you know, how well I'm doing for time and things, rather than losing track. And a lot of people fall into the trap of answering so much in the first question and then not having enough time for the last question. And what we need to remember is the last question is just as important as the first question. So just make sure that you manage your time very well. And if you do find that you are running out of time, then just bullet point, you know, some concise and clear answers, just so that you may be awarded a half mark for, you know, a concise point that you wanted to write down. And again, if you find you're running out of time on a specific question, you know, move on to the next question, and then if you do have at least some 2 minutes left, then go back and finish that question. But try and keep on top of your timing, because some ACCA exams, majority of them, are very, very time constrained, and you're under pressure with time. Definitely, like for me, I don't even have time to use the bathroom, go to the toilet. Yeah, I'm not going to the toilet at all in those 3 hours and 15 minutes. I am literally using every single second I can to answer those questions. So yeah, that is number 3. So number 4 is professional marks. So with every ACCA paper, they award you 4 professional marks for sort of like report writing, and that's usually in a compulsory question. And you know, why would you not answer? I know it may take 2 minutes of your time, but those 2 minutes get you 4 marks. And that's a really, really big thing, because ACCA do not award marks very, very lightly. As people know, it is 50% to pass, and people think, oh my gosh, 50%, that is so easy. But it's really not. They award half marks, or they may not reward a mark at all. So 4% for just doing report styling, you know, addressing to, putting a slight intro, and finishing off the report by addressing who it's from. Very, very simple for 4 marks. So I would definitely say where you can get the easy marks, get them, because it's not easy, those exams. It's really not. My last tip is number 5, and that is to be concise and be clear with every answer. So with ACCA, when I was studying, I actually went to like weekend classes with Kaplan, and we had lecturers that were also examiners as well, and they told us that, you know, the examiners actually don't have that much time to mark each paper. So it's really important that you're concise and clear. You know, try not to waffle, try not to fill in the gaps, try not to make your essay look longer than it needs to. Put the clear and concise points so that the examiners are easily able to run through it and award those points easily. So it's really important to be concise, be clear, and to also have good formatting as well. So whether it be your professional papers where you do a bit more, you know, calculations, have neat calculations, and then, you know, when you're explaining those calculations, then, you know, have concise and clear paragraphs, and have like 3 to 4 sentences in each paragraph. So it's really easy for the examiner to go and look and award those marks, rather than a thick long paragraph. And then there's other papers such as the foundation papers. You know, some papers, you know, they want you to explain the advantages and disadvantages. You know, you can actually do like a table. So like in auditing, they love it where you do like tables instead, and have the advantages on the left and disadvantages on the right, because again, it's easy, it's clear for the examiner to see, so they can award the marks as and when necessary, basically. So yeah, but yeah guys, that was my 5 tips on how best to study for ACCA exams. So this is particular to ACCA exams, but you can definitely apply it to different types of exams in the professional world. This can definitely apply to ACA and possibly CIMA. I know that their exams are slightly different. Yeah, I mean, there's 13 exams, and if you're unfortunate to not get any exemptions, then you will obviously have to do all of those 13 exams. So yeah, just make sure you study hard. Try not to study last minute. But some people work very, very differently. This is the way that I learned to study, and those are the tips that helped me in all of my exams. I always try to study in advance, try not to study too last minute, and just try not to stress myself out really before the exam. You know, just take your time, come early, you know, mentally prepare yourself, be chilled, don't freak yourself out. Don't study too much on the actual day of your exam because you don't want to give yourself like a knowledge block or anything like that. And yeah, and just hope it all goes well. But yeah, guys, comment down below if you want me to talk about anything else within this series about how I became an accountant or anything like that. You know, I can give you advice and tips within that area, and then I'll go on to the next series which I'll be talking about. But yeah, any suggestions, please do let me know in the comments. And again, like, share and subscribe. And yeah, that's it, guys. Take care.